Good morning, YouTube. Happy draft day. It's like Christmas. Actually, it's more like 3 days of Christmas. We get all these picks, all these gifts. I am just giddy and excited. And we get one last mock draft before all of this goes down. So this is my final mock draft. This is a predictive mock draft. A lot of you people have been waiting for this because a lot of my mock drafts are what I would do mock drafts, which personally I like better because I don't know these NFL GMs and scouts. I don't know what these teams are thinking. I don't know what their evaluations are. I don't know what these teams are going to do. Even the best predictive mocks only get like 6 picks right. So I actually like doing the what I would do mock drafts because I talk about who I like, what I would do, what I think the right things to do are for these teams. But this is going to be a predictive mock draft, what I think we are going to see tonight together while you join me here on YouTube live for the draft. I'm so pumped, man. Let's get into it. Number one, I do believe the Bengals will select the minus 10,000 favorite odds to be the first pick, Joe Burrow. Nothing to really say there. They get their future quarterback and can go from there. Then the Washington Redskins. This one is a bit of a wild card. I think they might entertain a trade here, but I don't know if they're going to get the offers that they're really asking for to really move on from taking Chase Young, who is the best player in this class. They got a couple pieces on the edge there with Kerrigan and Sweat, but none of them have the future and upside that Chase Young has as a Myles Garrett, dare I say, Khalil Mack ceiling for the guy. So we're going to go ahead and take Chase Young and play him at defensive end in this 4-3 defense here for the Redskins. Then the Detroit Lions. I am going to have a trade here. I did actually put a little money on a trade up here for Tua. Lots of different rumors going around with Tua that teams are lower on him, that he could fall. I don't know. It's hard to believe what we hear at this point. I do think Tua is the guy that the NFL is going to value. I do think if you're a team like Miami who is going to trade up and grab Tua here, if you want Tua, which I have said is a mistake to trade picks to go up and get him, even to take him at number 5, I personally do not think is the right thing to do. This is not what I would do, but it is what I expect to happen. But anyway, I think you do need to trade up. Dolphins fans, they always say, why would you trade up? You can get him at 5. It's not like the Giants are going to take a quarterback. Well, if you're not going to move up, the Chargers might. The Panthers might. The Jags might. There's lots of teams that might jump you. So you do need to come up here for Tua. But you're not going to give up a first-round pick to do it. You're going to give up the 5th pick, obviously. You're going to give up the 39th pick in the draft, the 5th pick, or whatever it is. I guess that's maybe the 6th pick in the 2nd round, whatever. It's your pick. And then the Texans' 2nd-round pick that they so willingly gave you as part of that massive package for Laramie Tunsil. So you're really only, depending how you look at it, giving up your 2nd-round pick this year to take your quarterback of the future. Say what you want about Tua. I do think it will be Miami that moves up and takes Tua here at number 3. So there's your first trade. Then the Giants at number 4. This is an interesting kind of pivot point of the draft. Depending on what they do, it could send the draft in a lot of different directions. All eyes are going to be kind of on this pick right here, I think. I do think that Gettleman is going to want that offensive tackle of the future. They took their quarterback last year. They have Nate Solder at left, who is just not good, simply put, but he's also older. I think they want to get a better tackle in there for the future, and I think the guy that's going to kind of generate the buzz in this building is Tristan Wirfs. A lot of NFL circles have said that this is going to be the first tackle off the board. I believe he is the Vegas favorite to be the 4th overall pick. So I am going to go with Tristan Wirfs. Isaiah Simmons is definitely in play here, and I think that's probably who Giants fans want the most. Either way, I think it'd be a good pick, but I am going to predict that it'll be Tristan Wirfs here. And then the Detroit Lions, after you move down, going to grab Jeff Okudah. That's why you move down. That's who they would take at 3 if they can't find a dance partner to move down. The corner on the outside. That is what these Belichickian defenses with Matt Patricia in there as the head coach want. They want to build from the corners up to the safeties, down through the linebackers, the edge, and the defensive tackles. So I do think they want to value that corner. They lost Darius Slay. and you can put him in there. He runs a lot of man coverage that this defense wants to do, and he is an excellent fit and value for Detroit at 5 after moving down and getting some good second-round picks. Next up, the LA Chargers. This is, unfortunately for Chargers fans, going to be Justin Herbert, I believe. If you're lucky, they will value Jordan Love higher than Justin Herbert. You can only pray. I think Justin Herbert screams Mitch Trubisky, Blake Bortles. I think he will be a bust, especially if he's a top 10 pick. He just is the definition of a first-read quarterback. Accuracy is a question mark for me. He will just totally spray throws. He just doesn't read defenses at the rate you like. He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't pass that kind of it factor test. Everything about him is drafting a tall, strong-armed quarterback for the sake of drafting a tall, strong-armed quarterback. When he threw against Air at the Senior Bowl in the Combine, he looked great, but you put the pads on and you put 11 defenders in full pads coming at you at full speed, things break down for Justin Herbert, and you just don't like what you get between the ears. So I'm sorry, Chargers fans. I hope for your sake this does not happen, but my prediction is that it will. Then the Carolina Panthers at number 7. I think this team would be really smart to move down. I think that they are in a bit of a rebuild. They're going to try to win, but personnel-wise, they're kind of looking down the road a little bit compared to other teams, and I think would entertain a trade up. Now you need a trade partner for that to happen, who realistically might have their eye on a player here in the top 10 picks. My decision here was the Denver Broncos, making a very similar trade value-wise for what they got for moving down with the Steelers last year for Devin Bush. They're going to move up to the 7th spot here to target a wide receiver. They're going to give up their 3rd-round pick this year, obviously pick 15, and a 2nd-round pick next year. And in return, the Denver Broncos will be selecting Henry Ruggs, the first wide receiver off the board. He is not personally my number 1 wide receiver, but I do love the fit, and it makes a ton of sense. I got to credit my boy Andre Weingarten. Moonlight Swami brought this point up in that thin Denver air. You put Henry Ruggs out there running go balls all game, those defensive backs are going to be grasping for the oxygen mask. You can take shots in the 3rd, 4th quarter downfield, abusing the stamina of those defensive backs, dealing with the thin air there in Denver, paired with the deep ball ability of Drew Lock. And you already have your number 1 guy in Courtland Sutton. I do actually think that that justifies taking Henry Ruggs as the first wide receiver off the board and moving up to get him. Then the Arizona Cardinals with the 8th pick. Gonna stay put and grab Jedrick Wills, your right tackle here. They have their left tackle in place there in Humphreys, so you get the right tackle. Start to buy some more time to get the ball vertical here, because that offense really existed within about 10 to 15 yards of the line of scrimmage last year. This allows you to buy more time for Kyler to get the ball downfield, should help out the run game. An excellent pick to add some manliness to this team that has a very exciting group of wide receivers, fast running backs, quarterback, and then secondary on the defensive side of the ball. But they need some beef and some girth on this team, and that's what Jedrick Wills is going to bring. Then Jacksonville at 9. Luckily enough, you are able to sit pat here and get Isaiah Simmons. Now he's going to play a little weak side linebacker in base. He's going to play a little strong safety, that dime linebacker. This is the type of team, the type of scheme that will use him almost in an identical way to Cam Chancellor, the all-pro superstar, potential Hall of Fame strong safety for the Seattle Seahawks in this same scheme. Isaiah Simmons can be a bit of a combination of that, Derwin James, even what they had in Telvin Smith, who probably will not be back here. He's going to play a little bit of everything. He's a linebacker, safety, hybrid. He is a modern defensive player. The way I best describe him is he is the player that will flip the script on the offense, who thinks they have a mismatch problem. A Michael Thomas in the slot, a Christian McCaffrey in the slot, a George Kittle in the slot. Isaiah Simmons can go right in front of those guys and go pound for pound, punch for punch with any of them. Then we got the Cleveland Browns with the 10th pick, going to take Mekhi Becton, the left tackle out of Louisville. They need a left tackle. I think Mekhi Becton is the buzz player here the guy that can be the high upside left tackle. I think they might also look at a guy in Baltimore interdivision in Orlando Brown and be tempted to get their own version of that big 6'7", 360-pound mauler that is Mekhi Becton. Also brings a very high floor as a pass protector because of the length and footwork that he does have. So you're going to get your left tackle here, Cleveland. It's not my personal best left tackle in the class. That is going to be our next pick here. But I don't hate Mekhi Becton. It would still be a pretty damn good pick and fill a huge need for the Cleveland Browns. Then we have the New York Jets going to grab Andrew Thomas, as I hinted. Would definitely entertain grabbing a CeeDee Lamb, a Jerry Jeudy here. I think given the depth at wide receiver in this class, I think you can feel pretty comfortable grabbing Andrew Thomas. You know, the quarterback can really build up some of these wide receivers in the second round. You can target maybe KJ Hamler or Van Jefferson, Laviska Shenault. You know, you don't know who it's going to be, but there's a very deep class. There's a cluster of guys that I think Sam Darnold, while he's had his ups and downs, if he can get better protection up front that he can't personally really bring up, but you can bring up a wide receiver if you really are that good franchise quarterback that you think you have here in Sam Darnold. So grab the tackle and then look to help him later in the draft with weapons. Then with the 12th pick, the Raiders, this is kind of ideal for them to be able to get CeeDee Lamb. Now, I personally like Jerry Jeudy better. There are aspects of CeeDee Lamb's game that I do think pairs better here with Derek Carr if you're going to stick with Derek Carr and not go with the Jordan Love at this pick. I've talked about potentially putting T. Higgins there with Derek Carr. I think CeeDee Lamb, who some people have as their number one wide receiver, some people have Jerry Jeudy, he brings that kind of vertical jump ball element that Derek Carr had with Michael Crabtree. Derek Carr, just simply put, is not much of a creator when the pressure comes in. He loves taking checkdowns, but one thing that really helped him with Michael Crabtree is instead of taking that check down, getting 6 yards on 3rd and 9 and then punting, he actually would throw the ball vertical a little more, throw up the ball for Michael Crabtree, who he trusted to, if he didn't catch the ball, break up the interception. CeeDee Lamb can be that guy and some, again, for Derek Carr. So I think it's an excellent fit, and I definitely think it's what this team would do in this situation at number 12. Then number 13, a lot of Niners fans would want Jerry Jeudy here. I've talked about how that Niners offense, and I think Shanahan views it this way as well, really operates in the middle of the field. That also plays into Jimmy Garoppolo's skill set, who isn't the best exterior deep ball thrower outside the numbers down the boundary. So I think they would like a Jerry Jeudy, but you got Debo there, you got George Kittle, you drafted receivers last year, you still got Marquise Goodwin there, so they have some weapons. I don't think wide receiver is quite as big of a need as a lot of Niners fans think it is, and a lot of Niners fans don't like this pick. Some have seen the reasoning for it. The pick here is going to be Javon Kinlaw. Call me stubborn because I've been saying for a few weeks that I think this will be the pick, that I feel more confident in this pick than basically any other pick other than Burrow and Young at 1 and 2. I think the Niners had cap troubles. They didn't want to give up DeForest Buckner. John Lynch said it was the hardest thing he's ever had to do, but they looked at their roster. They're still trying to clear cap space. They had to do it. They were not going to be able to pay him. He wanted a contract. They were able to get this top pick in return. That left a gaping hole on the interior that they did not really want to lose. DJ Jones, not much of a fear factor there. And that's really all they have on the interior. You got Eric Armstead, who plays some 3 and 4 tech on pass rush downs, but he's not an interior defensive lineman. You got Solomon Thomas, who stinks at football. This is the pick for the Niners, is your DeForest Buckner replacement with that explosive, huge Javon Kinlaw. His pro comp is Chris Jones, who ate you alive in the Super Bowl. So this is not just what I would do if I was the Niners. This is what I do expect to happen. Niners fans, you got to realize cap space exists. That's why you go from Buckner to Kinlaw. Then the 14th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to grab K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU. This is both a win now move and a great move for the future of this team. Your edge players currently are Shaq Barrett, who's a really good player. To expect him to repeat what he did last year is asinine, in my opinion. What did he have, 20 sacks? Like, that's a complete outlier for his career. He's a really good player, but is probably going to, regress to the mean, as they say. have a nice 50 pressure, 10 sack season would be a good year for Shaq Barrett compared to the rest of his career. And then you have Jason Pierre-Paul, who's usually hurt, always playing with 9 fingers, is 30, 31 years old, just got a 2-year contract extension, but cannot be viewed as the future here. So Chaisson gives you some excitement there on the edge that really is the last missing piece on that defense that is very young, but that edge rush is a big need, and this is a good spot for K'Lavon Chaisson. Then pick 15, we're going to go Derrick Brown falling in this world, and I definitely think this could happen. Very similar to when Jonathan Allen fell to the 13th pick to the Redskins several years ago. Just a guy viewed as a really good run defender on the interior that's a devalued position, but not an elite pass rusher and not an elite athlete. So other guys are simply going to be pushed up above him. But for Carolina to move down, collect picks, a nice pick in next year's draft to potentially use to package to move up for a quarterback if you need to. This also reminds me of Miami last year, whose first pick was a high-floor interior defensive lineman in Christian Wilkins. Trying to build a foundation here in Carolina, it's a huge need. You got K'Wan Short, who's getting up there in age, and nobody else on the interior. So Derrick Brown out of Auburn is the pick. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons on the clock at 16. Landing in their laps is CJ Henderson. I would have been on the phone with Tampa Bay, with San Francisco, trying to move up for him. Tampa Bay probably would have loved to do it, but interdivision. So we scratched that one. But CJ Henderson is the perfect scheme fit here, that zone corner with the length to press. This is that Seattle cover 3 scheme here in Atlanta, coming from that Seattle defense. And CJ Henderson ran it in Florida. So a seamless transition, his upside is incredible. I think there's a decent chance he goes before this, but in this world, he falls. Now, Dallas on the clock, going to grab a cornerback. I've called this a desperate need for them. It's a big need for this season. They don't currently have a number 2 corner, but also for the future. 4 out of their 5 starting secondary members at the moment are currently up for contract. So this allows Christian Fulton to come in, start over Jordan Lewis, who probably isn't the ideal perimeter corner anyway, and gives you a cheap 5-year corner to provide some sustainability in that secondary that is going to be a headache to maintain over the course of the next year contractually with how many large contracts this team has handed out. At some point, the salary cap is going to come back to bite this team in the ass. Then we got Miami, going to grab Josh Jones, the next tackle off the board based on public perception. I actually have a couple of guys higher than Josh Jones, but I do think this is the pick. After trading up for Tua, you have got to improve that offensive line, and I think that they will view it that way as well. Then the Raiders, what would a John Gruden draft be without a reach for a Clemson player? Let's do it again. AJ Terrell, corner, the last kind of gaping hole on this team. I think they got a bunch of little spots that they could upgrade, but I do think corner is going to be the pick here at 19 if they don't move down. I don't think the Raiders in this team have shown that they really want to move down. I think they're going to take their guys, and I think AJ Terrell is going to be their guy. They loved Trayvon Mullen last year. This is the same exact player. You can recreate that Clemson secondary with Terrell and Mullen. Then Jacksonville, Jerry Jeudy falling into their lap. Definitely a fall here for Jerry Jeudy. But with Ruggs going so early and the Raiders potentially looking at CeeDee Lamb as a better fit, this is just how it played out. Now, you could look at a team like Philly, Minnesota, even a team like Green Bay at the back end of the first making a move up here. But if you're Jacksonville, I would have been thinking about Jerry Jeudy at 9 if Isaiah Simmons was gone. So they've had some nice players fall into their lap in years past. Jalen Ramsey comes to mind when the Cowboys took Zeke for no good reason. Miles Jack, Josh Allen last year with the Raiders taking Josh Allen. They've kind of gotten some of this luck, and I think there's somewhat of a chance that this could happen. I think Jerry Jeudy, without that explosive element to his game, more of a finesse player, could just happen to slide a little bit. I don't see him getting past 20 here, though. Then Justin Jefferson going to come off here to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for me, this is a great value for the Eagles if this can happen. You actually have 2 perimeter wide receivers already if they can stay healthy in Alshon Jeffery and Deshaun Jackson. Now, those guys are older. You could definitely look to upgrade, maybe move up for a Jerry Jeudy or a CeeDee Lamb. But if this happened, you get a starting slot wide receiver for your 3 wide receiver packages, a guy that I do think can play on the outside when you are in 2 wide, and can create that separation that Carson Wentz. And all of a sudden, with those 3 wide receivers, with those 2 tight ends, with Miles Sanders in the receiving game, you've got some real nice weapons there around Carson Wentz, including a good offensive line. Then Minnesota at 22. This obviously is not something I would do. I think the Denzel Mims hype has just left the station and ran off the tracks and crashed into a ditch. But I do think it's going to happen. I think Denzel Mims goes in the top 25, definitely in the first round in this draft. I think Minnesota is a team that, with those 4 wide receivers going, they're going to look for that wide receiver to replace Stephon Diggs. So you are effectively trading Diggs for Denzel Mims, which I think is a colossal mistake, but it would be far from the dumbest thing any NFL team has ever done. So Denzel Mims, another first-round bust here, following up Laquan Treadwell to the Minnesota Vikings. Then the New England Patriots, going to just luck into Jordan Love here. I do think the NFL, it sounds like, is going to be a little lower on Jordan Love. Now, if somebody was keeping this, under the radar, if like the Raiders really like Jordan Love, or Jacksonville or Carolina, and surprised everyone and took Jordan Love really early, not going to surprise me in the slightest. By the sounds of it, he's going to go in this sort of 20 to 32 range somewhere. I don't see New England letting him get past you, because this is a team that they don't care about where the pick is, right? New England, they got a bunch of 4th round, 5th round picks. Belichick's going to be able to find random players, guys like Carter Coughlin, who are going to come in and start and be borderline Pro Bowlers in this defense. But the opportunity to draft a talent in Jordan Love to come in here and compete with Jarrett Stidham, who this team still believes in, by the way, but the Patriots aren't dumb. They are not going to put all of their eggs in the Jarrett Stidham basket if a guy like Jordan Love is available. So I don't see Jordan Love getting past New England. I could even see them moving up for Jordan Love, but this is going to be the landing spot in my predictive mock. Then pick 24, this one was pretty easy. Patrick Queen to the Saints, local LSU guy. You got Demario Davis there as a stud, but he's 32 years old on the last year of his contract. Not that the salary cap exists in New Orleans anyway, but they're going to grab Patrick Queen to be the number 2 linebacker next to Demario Davis. Then Minnesota, this is another player here, and I'm sorry if Vikings fans think I am hating on them. It's just kind of what I think could happen tonight, but this is a guy I tweeted about potentially going higher than a lot of people expect, and that is Ross Blacklock, which I do think is a bit of a reach here, but I think Minnesota really needs another guy on the interior. It was a problem last year. They did replace Linval with Michael Pierce from Baltimore. It was a good signing, but they do need more guys in the middle there. And the reason I think this could happen, being somewhat of a reach, I mean, some people do have this high of a grade on Blacklock as well, is that this interior defensive line class has a pretty major drop-off. The Vikings won't be picking again until the end of the 2nd round. The chances of them getting a legitimate impact on the interior, it's a risk. It's very much a risk. I think we're going to see a run on these interior guys in the 25 to 50 range, because I really do think there's a pretty big drop-off after about 6 or 7 guys here. And I think the Vikings are going to look at this as a huge need. And a guy on Blacklock that will be a good fit there next to Pierce, who is a monster as far as the size is concerned. Then you get some of that quickness, disruptive element. Blacklock's going to be a beast on the stunts that Zimmer likes to run as well. Him and Anthony Barr will have a great play off of each other as a blitzer. So I do like Ross Blacklock as a fit here. And I wouldn't even give this like a bad grade. I think it would be a good pick for the Vikings. Just talent-wise, it's just not the most exciting draft pick for the Vikings, but he's a good player. Then Miami would love to go another offensive lineman here, but AJ Epinesa is available at 26 here. And this is one type of player that these New England schemes are really going to value, that oversized edge, undersized interior defensive lineman in AJ Epinesa. Miami has already showed their hand at that position with the guys that they like. You're looking at Shaq Lawson, Emmanuel Ogbah, Avery Moss, Taco Charlton, Zach Sealer. Those are the defensive ends on their roster, all sort of that hybrid, oversized edge player, which is AJ Epinesa in a nutshell. I think that Brian Flores would love to get this guy on his team. And those guys we listed are not great players. I think in this system, it's going to be very similar to how Matt Patricia viewed getting Trey Flowers in there over from New England. So an excellent fit and frankly very good value. I think Epinesa is in this 20 to 26 range. So him starting to fall a little bit here. Then Seattle. I do think this might be the year that they actually address offensive linemen, especially with a USC freak available, a young guy that Pete Carroll can work with. We know he likes his USC guys if he can get them. I look at this roster, they don't have a ton of needs. Edge is a need. You could definitely go with a Yetur Gross-Matos. Very well could be the pick. I just think this might be the year that they go offensive lineman. And Austin Jackson, a guy that could sit for a year behind Dwayne Brown, could compete and start at right tackle. He could compete at a guard spot. He's a versatile, good athlete, a great kid. And I think that he's going to have a good chance to finally help this offensive line. I would actually like this pick a lot. Even if I like other tackles better than Austin Jackson, it's more because I like those other guys. It's not because I don't like Austin Jackson. Then Baltimore going to land Kenneth Murray, landing into their laps. What a fit. You get your CJ Mosley replacement that I think they really wanted last year. They did have some undrafted guys step up, but Zach Bynes, the guy that did, is gone. So Kenneth Murray can fill that void, I guess, left by Josh Bynes. And this would be one of those picks where, like, how did we let the Ravens get Kenneth Murray, NFL? Come on. Tennessee going to grab Marlon Davidson. I talked about a run at interior defensive linemen. The Tennessee Titans are just flat out deprived of talent on the interior right now. They do have Jeffery Simmons, who I like. You got Daquan Jones, a nose tackle. Jack Crawford, an undersized guy. He feels like he's on his fifth team in as many years. And then nobody after that. They need a versatile defensive end in a 3-4, which is going to be Marlon Davidson. I think it's about the spot that the NFL is going to view him. I talked about the drop-off in talent. So if Tennessee, who's a win-now team as far as their mentality goes, if they want a defensive lineman to come in here and start, this is going to be one of the guys that they're going to have to target because they don't pick again until the end of the second round. Good luck getting Justin Madubuike or Neville Gallimore that late in the second round. I think you got to do it right here. It's a tiny bit of a reach, but I do think Marlon Davidson's a great scheme fit and would be a good fit and a good player here for the Titans. Could wreak some havoc there next to Jeffery Simmons. Then pick 30, the Green Bay Packers. This one disappointed me a little bit, but Ezra Cleveland, this guy has gotten a lot of first-round rumors. In recent years, Green Bay, especially in this Gutekunst regime, has really targeted the good athletes, the late risers, the combine breakout stars. They did interview Ezra Cleveland at the combine. I think if the board played out this way, the linebackers were gone, the top tackles were gone, the wide receivers were gone. If they can't find a trade down partner, I am afraid to say that Ezra Cleveland is going to be the pick. Now, I do like Ezra Cleveland. I like his upside. This is a good situation for him to come in and develop. I don't think it's a miserable pick. It's just not the excitement that a lot of Packers fans will be looking for when we watched that wide receiving core be so miserable last year. How do you not take a wide receiver in the first round here? I just think this is the direction that Green Bay would go. I think they're going to have a very high grade on Ezra Cleveland, and that's the pick I'm going to go with. Then San Francisco going to take Grant Delpit. What a fit in this Seattle cover 3 defense. He can come down and play the strong safety position that I think he belongs, that LSU did not use him at. He played a lot more free safety, had some tackling issues in his final season, but was also playing on a banged up ankle that I think really screwed them. There is a chance that we just put the second Derwin James in California here with Grant Delpit to the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. Also came out yesterday, hate to say I told you so to the Niners fans, they are shopping Jaquiski Tart. His contract's up after this year. He's just an okay strong safety. They don't want to pay him down the road. Here's your replacement. And maybe he even sits for a little bit as he learns how to frickin' tackle here. But this team tackled so well last year. You got to think there's something right in the coaching staff there. Could be Robert Saleh, could be their D-backs coach, I don't know. But I think Grant Delpit would be a total steal here for the Niners and very well could be someone they're targeting. Then the 32nd pick, I am going to have one last little trade here, a trade up from the New York Giants, giving up the 4th pick in the 2nd round and their 4th round pick to come up here and grab Cesar Ruiz from the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Giants walk out of here with a starting center and a starting tackle to all of a sudden give them one of the best surrounding cores in the entire league here for Daniel Jones. For the Chiefs, the guy I was going to take here was Noah Igbenogany. I think they could use a corner. I think a team that runs a decent amount of man coverage. They still ran about like 25% man last year. I think Igbenogany, similar to some of the other corners on that roster, but a little more upside, cheaper, all that stuff. So gonna move down just 4 spots, really actually 3 spots for the Chiefs. You pick up a 4th round pick. This team's got cap issues. Getting some of those rookie contracts in there is going to be beneficial to this team, and that's not a bad pick. That's almost a 3rd round pick there with the 110th pick in the draft. So there is the predictive mock. I'm really excited for about 3 of these picks to be right, and I'm hoping only about 20% of you that watch this come back and tell me how wrong I was. This is why I don't like doing predictive mocks, because it's just impossible to predict the draft. One crazy pick sets the entire thing awry. But it was fun to do nonetheless. I do hope that you guys hit that like button down below. And again, join me tonight for the draft right here on YouTube. I'm pumped, and we'll see you there. Peace.